What's good, YouTube? This your boy Aaron, and we are back.
Oh, you forget we messed up.
I know.
I'm
messing with you on that one. I'm messing with you on that one.
Anyway, let's redo it. Let's start from the top.
All right. What's good? What is good, YouTube? This your boy Aaron.
It's Brian.
And this is the Courtside View Podcast, and we are back today. And we are discussing the NFL. Now, we are weeks away from the NFL draft, and things are getting more and more interesting. Updates on the NFL mock draft are here, and I have a couple: The Athletic, CBS, NFL.com. Let's see here. Let me see if I can share my screen real quick.
Production.
Well, when you live streaming now, we got options. All right, let's see if this will work. Can you see?
Yep. Loud what I'm saying? Nice, smooth, and clear.
All right. So, he did round 2. Oh, here it is. All right, here we go. So this is April 4th. NFL draft analyst. He has Cam Ward going 1, Travis Hunter going 2. Shedeur is still 3. That's interesting. After everything we've heard from some reports. So we have Abdul Carter going 4 to the Patriots. I don't see that happen.
I'm not seeing that.
Mason Graham 5. Ashton Genty going 6. It seems like that's consensus that the Raiders are going with Ashton Genty. Jackson Dart going 7. I don't see that happening.
Someone's getting fired if that happens.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Tyler Warren.
Someone's getting fired if that happens.
Going 8. Jalen Walker going 9, which seems appropriate at that range. Okay. Chicago Bears going Armand Minbao, offensive tackle, which makes sense. Will Campbell going 11 to San. They do need some offensive line help. Yeah, they do need some offensive line. Look at your boy, Ted McMillan.
That's what I'm talking. The greatest mock I've ever seen. That's what I'm talking about. Ted McMillan at 12.
Yeah, Kelvin Banks Jr. 13. Jahai Campbell 14. I've been hearing a lot of Jahai Campbell going in the middle round, so that kind of makes sense. 15, Will Johnson. They do need some cornerback help. Shit, they need pass rush help as well. They need all types of help on defense. Jahdae Barron going 16 to Miami. They do need some cornerback help. Jalen Ramsey getting up there in age. Shamar Stewart going 17. Hey, if the Bengals select Shamar Stewart, somebody needs to get fired. They need a proven pass rusher.
This must be assuming that Trey Hendrickson either doesn't get a deal done or he's traded.
I would go Mike Green over Shamar Stewart, in my opinion. You need a proven edge. You cannot go off with just RAS. Like, come on, man.
The raw score.
Come on, man. You can't. Emeka Egbuka going 18. I don't see that happening. You already have Jackson.
Not over Matthew Golden.
Yeah, I don't see them drafting another receiver in the first round.
You have Jackson Smith and Jigba who plays the slot, and Emeka Egbuka, he could play both inside and outside, but we mostly seen him in the slot. So
hold on. They think we're gonna trade up
for Michael Williams. Oh my God.
No, we're not doing that.
If you trade up and draft Michael Williams, you should break the TV.
Yeah. We're not going to do that. So
that is crazy.
Colston Loveland going 20. 2 tight ends going in the top 20. I don't see that.
If I'm Broncos, I'm low key in position to draft a defensive guy, in my opinion.
But you got to remember, in free agency, they got a bunch of defensive guys. So
they did.
They could go offense on this one, but most I don't know, man. Omarion Hampton 21. Donovan Izaraku 22.
I don't know who that is.
That's the guy from Boston College.
Boston College.
Okay. He's he was one of the league leaders in sacks. His production is very high, and I've heard a lot of good things about him. He's bent, he can bend, and has a long. I think he may have a long reach as well. He has a safety from South Carolina, 23. They do need a safety. Kansas City, they do need an offensive tackle. They think
they trading up.
Trade up. I mean, it kind of makes sense. They do need offensive linemen. Derek Harmon, 25. This is one of the guys in some other mock drafts that
the Eagles trading up too. What is going on?
Yeah. Walter Nolan.
Walter Nolan. That is interesting, considering they have 2 starter level.
I don't see that happening.
They did lose Milton Williams though, but
they did.
Are you really going to trade up for him?
Nah, I don't think that's going to happen. Matthew Golden slipping to 27. I don't see that happening.
No.
I don't see that happening. Nah, I don't see that happening. Oh, San Antonio. All right. Then we have offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either. Mike Green, 29 to the Commanders. Bro, if Mike Green goes to Commanders, they need to throw a party. They need to throw a party. If he slips all the way to 29, Malachi Starks to the Ravens, that seems like a Ravens type pick.
But like,
they need pass rush help though.
Yes, they do.
Okay, sorry, Thomas.
That's one Thomas brother. Good pick.
Isaiah Bond, 32. I don't see that happening. Yeah, I don't see that happening.
No.
Real quick, round 2.
They could low key wait and try to if Luther Burden slips to you in the late second, I take that. Or early third. Oh no, Luther Burden is third.
Yeah, this looks disastrous. This looks really disastrous. Like, come on now. All right, bro. Quinn Ewers going 35. All right, bro. Look at this, man. All right, man.
Who the Cowboys? Travion. Hey, if we walk out of the first 2 rounds with Tet and Travion, I'm going to go to Corral. We throwing a party. All the buffet is on me.
All right,
I'm
man.
paying for folks' buffets. We walk out with Travion and Tet.
I think I've had enough of this mock draft. I think yeah, we're gonna.
Oh, but did you see what your second round pick was?
Let me see. Packers.
I have a second round pick, right?
Darian Porter. Never heard of the dude.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. All right. Well, I think I've had enough of this mock draft because some of the things that he believes is going to happen, I just disagree with. But let me see. There's another mock draft I want to show. Share screen. I think it's the athletic one. All right, athletic one. So Cam Ward going number 1, huh?
Who made this one?
Athletic. Bruce Feldman.
Okay, I know who that is.
Yeah, Cam Ward 1 makes sense. Okay. Abdul Carter 2. Shedeur Sanders 3. New York Giants. Travis Hunter 4. See, this came out in April 2nd. April 2nd.
Oh,
updated April 4th. Updated April 4th. So, man, do I think Travis Hunter? It just seems like everything that I've heard, Travis Hunter is going to go either 2 or 3. Let's see. Mason Graham 5. Jacksonville. Jalen Walker 6.
No Genty.
Nah. Armand Dow 7. Okay. They do need.
The Panthers take Mykel Williams top 10. Someone needs to get fired.
I think Mykel Williams slips in the draft.
I think so. I think the tape isn't impressive. Yes, they had him and Jalen Walker was wrecking havoc against Texas. But Mykel Williams is just out athleting dudes. I just don't see it when I turn on the film. I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
Yeah, because when we watched the Notre Dame game, he got exposed.
Yeah.
So Will Campbell 9, Ashton Genty 10.
I'd be so mad.
San Francisco Jahdae Barron
makes sense.
Okay, 12. Marion Hampton.
Break the
Nah,
TV.
That's not happening. That's not Will Johnson third. I do think Will Johnson could slip in the draft a little bit.
I think so too.
Yeah. Just what I've been hearing, how he didn't have the greatest 2024 season, so it wouldn't shock me that he slips a little bit in the draft.
And he's not like a super athlete or something.
Okay, Tyler Warren at 14 sounds about right. Him going in the top 10, well, not the Colts specifically, but in terms of where he's placed in the middle round seems more accurate to me. Although, don't get me wrong, he is a talented tight end, but I feel like there's so many more glaring needs for a lot of these teams. For them to go tight end in the top 10 just doesn't sound very logical in my opinion. So, but the Colts, they do need a tight end, but I feel like they have so many weapons as is.
I don't know. They're not even using all of them.
Yeah, I don't know if they should go after,
Jahad Campbell.
Jahad Campbell.
With it, so
Jalen pass rush help.
Does Jalen Walker? He's off. Yeah, Jalen Walker's off the board, so they go Jahad Campbell.
I don't see that.
This might be like Mike Green or Shamar Stewart territory.
I don't see them getting him. I don't see them getting an off-ball linebacker. They need some edge rush help. They need to get some pressure on the quarterback. I don't see that happening. Arizona Cardinals, Derek Harmon.
They do need defense.
Mike Green, 17. I've been hearing a lot of Mike Green to the Bengals. Like, it feels like that's a consensus for whatever reason.
Which is interesting because considering the allegations or whatever, his character concerns, how is he getting drafted higher than James Pierce Jr.?
That's a great question. Maybe it's, again, the off the field concerns. Maybe they're overblown to a certain extent to where they're taken care of already. That was in the past, and you don't have to worry about those things anymore. So they feel like, hey, Mike Green, besides the incidents, maybe he's a good character in the locker room. It's just off the field was more of a concern. While with James Pierce Jr., maybe on the field, not on the field, but in the locker room, how he talks to other players, how he talks to other coaches, maybe even off the field as well, it could be a concern. So I don't know, man. That's just my guess. I'm speculating at that point, but I feel like with Mike Green, maybe it's just those off the field incidents and not necessarily how he is when he's in the locker room, on the field. Maybe he's a good person. Maybe he acts professional in those environments, but those incidences, he wasn't very professional. Definitely wasn't very professional. But yeah, Seahawks getting Ted McMillan. I don't see him falling all the way to Seattle. If he falls all the way to Seattle, that would be crazy. Donovan Izaraku at 19. Matthew Golden 20 to Denver. I guess they could use a receiver. Jackson Dart. Now that sounds about right. Jackson Dart 21 to Pittsburgh sounds about right.
This is literally a Kenny Pickett type pick in my opinion. I don't think Jackson Dart's very good.
Yeah. Colston Loveland to the Chargers sounds about right as well. They do need a tight end. I think they could. Would you go Colston Loveland? I mean, Matthew Golden's off the board, and Ted McMillan's off the board, so you probably should go Colston Loveland in this instance.
Could have went Ibuka.
That is true, but remember, they already have a slot guy. Remember,
Ladd?
Yeah, Ladd McConkey. They already have him, so
then you want to get another QJ. So
QJ, we already know QJ sucks. So then, see, this is where he lost me. I've never
even heard of that dude.
This is where he lost me. Offensive lineman. This is where he lost me. I don't see that happening. So South Carolina. Okay, yeah. Kelvin Banks. They definitely need an offensive tackle.
Kelvin Banks falling that far is shocking.
Josh Simmons, offensive tackle. Cleveland Browns, they definitely need some help. Malachi Starks, safety
okay, see,
again.
I have a problem with this right here.
Why?
You mean to tell me you have Emeka Egbuka on the board, you want to take a safety? Yes or no, safety play has been sort of a
question mark
down position for the Ravens, but safety play ain't why y'all lost to the Bills. Players ain't make plays.
It was it was the lack of receivers and the pass rush. No pass rush.
So I mean, if y'all think that Malachi Starks is going to change that, you already got Kyle Hamilton, who's a great safety. You got Malachi Starks to it, but the dudes up front got to do the job, and the pass catchers got to catch the ball.
Right. See, I don't see him. I feel like he's a second round pick.
Nick Scorton?
Yeah, I don't see him going in the first round. James Pierce Jr. going to Washington.
Maybe they could fix them character issues.
Yeah. So they think They think Shedeur Stewart is gonna go out of the first round. I don't see that happening.
I don't think that edge rush is too valuable for a guy that's been mocked top first round a whole bunch of times to just fall out.
You know why I don't see that happening is because a lot of these teams, for whatever reason, they don't care that a person at that position doesn't have a whole lot of production. They look at the measurables a lot of times and they feel like, hey, he could be another Danielle Hunter. Because Danielle Hunter coming out of LSU, he didn't have a whole lot of production, but his measurables was so elite. And he eventually became one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. So I believe with Shedeur Stewart, I could see him. We got Kenneth Grant going 30 to the Buffalo Bills, D-tackle, Michigan. Shedeur Stewart. Hey, if he goes to the Chiefs, shit. If he goes to the Chiefs, fuck. Like that's the worst thing that could happen.
Still, Emeka Egbuka is still on the board.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that could happen. So he goes to the Raiders. Eagles trade back. I could see that happening. I could definitely see that happening. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I think we're done with the mock drafts. But this just lets you know that everybody has their own way of thinking. Nobody really knows exactly who's going to go where. The only consensus, in my opinion, is Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Every other person, I believe the Browns and the Giants will go either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. I don't think Shedeur is going to go in the top 3. Just the way that it's looking right now. And just hearing what I'm hearing about Travis Hunter and how dynamic he is. I remember Dan Orlovsky yesterday when they were talking about the pro day for Colorado. He mentioned that, hey, after Cam Ward is off the board, like I'm going Travis Hunter. He said, I don't care if I need a quarterback. I'm going Travis Hunter. And I just saw something recently that Travis Hunter from Bleacher Report, it says Travis Hunter is leaning towards wide receiver.
Oh, I thought he was going to enter as a corner.
And you know, in the middle of the college football season, we talked about this and how, like, what position should he play in the NFL? And I was leaning more towards cornerback, but I understand the thought process of, well, going to be a wide receiver because the money, it's just so much more money at this point. You're getting paid, wide receivers getting paid 30, 35 M's, close to $40 million. So I can understand why Travis Hunter would go to that route. And then everything I've been hearing from Todd McShay to Dan Orlovsky to all these people and how talented Travis Hunter is, and then seeing Steve Smith at the pro day talking glowingly about Travis Hunter, it seems like Travis Hunter I wouldn't be mad if he goes to wide receiver because he's immensely talented in either position, and at his size, his speed, his athleticism, his ball skills, I believe he'll be fine at wide receiver.
Yeah, he'll definitely be a Pro Bowl level at wide receiver because we've seen in all the car that boy was giving out crazy work to every DB.
He's
Twitched
immensely
up, can
talented.
run routes. Hands are phenomenal. His body control is crazy. He doesn't drop many passes or any balls at all. So he always gets separation just because he's just that good. I think it don't at this point. It don't matter what position he plays. I think he'll be a Pro Bowl level at either one.
And that's what makes him a generational talent is the fact that you're fine with him playing either position. Doesn't really matter what position he chooses, you'll be fine. But if you're a team that is heavily needed at corner, then you probably like, hey, I would really like for you to play corner, especially if you already have decent enough wide receivers. But
honestly, if somehow, some way, Travis Hunter does flip the 4, the Patriots get a win-win. They're like, hey, you want to play corner? Hey, we got Gonzo on the other side. You want to play wide receiver? Good, because we ain't got we could pair you up Stephon Diggs. You know what I'm saying? When he get healthy, so I think either way they get a huge W.
I will say Dan Orlovsky did talk about how you can utilize Travis Hunter more as a wide receiver compared to a corner because teams can game plan to not throw at the direction of a corner and pretty much have that corner out of the game most of the time. While with the wide receiver, you can scheme them to get open, to make plays, and they won't be out of the offense, out of the game compared to a corner who is just not thrown towards. But then I could also say, well, yeah, that's true. But if he's a shutdown corner, that means he's pretty much taken away half of the field.
Exactly.
That's still very valuable. But I understand what he's talking about because at the end of the day, you want as much value from Travis Hunter as possible. And if you feel like him at wide receiver gives you the most value versus him at cornerback, I can understand that logic. So I believe he's just so talented and he's one of the best. He has some of the best hands in the draft. He's up there with Matthew Golden. He's up there with you can just name your pick. I think he might have the best hands in the draft. Just if
I think him, Golden, and Tet have the best hands.
I think he might have better hands than both of them. Just watching the games, seeing what I've seen, he's made some of the most difficult catches of the college football season. I think he has the best hands in the draft. He's taller than Matthew Golden. He's faster than Tet McMillan. I think he runs better routes than Tet McMillan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I might have to go with Dan Orlovsky.
My thing is about the whole. Okay, so let's say you're the Giants, you're the GM of the Giants.
Yeah,
you are picking at 3. The board goes Cam Ward, then Abdul Carter at 2 to the Browns. You're Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen, or however you pronounce that name.
Joe Shane, I think it is.
Yeah, Joe Shane, whoever you pronounce his name. You are at 3. You're looking at Shedeur or Travis. Now, do you pass on the generational talent to get your possible QB for the future? Or do you take the generation, or do you go BPA, take Travis Hunter, and we'll figure out QB another year, maybe next year? What do you do?
I think here's my way of thinking. If I'm the GM, do I think this team will win a bunch of games next year? Do I believe this team will be in the top 5 next year? Because if your answer is yes, if you believe this team will be in the top 5 next year, then I'll just say screw it and I'll go Travis Hunter. But if you don't think, matter of fact, let me rewind real quick because that makes no sense. Because the QB draft next year is awful. So what I'm saying is that, are you sure you want to hold off on a QB? Because next year the QB draft is worse, in my opinion. So I might have to just go with Shedeur, bro. Like, I'm not taking my chances. I have to go with Shedeur because at the end of the day, QB is the most valuable position in the NFL. Travis Hunter is an amazing talent, but his value is not even close of a good QB. So I would go QB. Maybe if you can trade down, it could be a possibility, but I have to go with a QB at this point. I have to go with Shedeur. Because I don't want to take that chance of next year we're in the same situation where we don't have a QB and we're in a worse quarterback draft. So I just think it's too much of a risk.
Now, if I was the Giants GM, if I'm trying to win, if I pitch the plan like, listen, all right, we're gonna take Travis Hunter. We may slum it for this year, maybe next year. 2027, we're gonna have some dudes coming out. You're gonna have most likely Arch Manning, Dylan Raiola, DJ Lagway, probably some other guys. I got
probably some other guys, but those are the guys you mentioned. Yeah,
exactly. You won't have your pick of the litter at QB in 27. But if you want to win now, I have no problem selecting Shedeur. But since NFL GMs, they got to win ASAP and produce ASAP, the Giants already on thin ice.
Yeah,
I would select Shedeur. If I had the opportunity to take what I deem to be a franchise QB, caliber QB, I'm gonna just take him. Travis Hunter, phenomenal talent, but what's the point of having a generational wide receiver and your QB isn't figured out? You know,
they had one. Remember 10 years ago, and they stunk.
Yep, Odell,
and they ended up messing up his career. He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory, but because the offensive line stunk, the QB play was awful, they couldn't get over the hump, and eventually he just burnt out and they had to trade him away. So why do you want to be in the same predicament you were 10 years ago with Odell Beckham? I just think it's a mistake. You're pretty much making the same bad mistakes that you did 10 years ago. I think with this new group, with the coach, Brian Dable, who's on thin ice, I believe you have to go with a quarterback. You have to give him something that he can work with because he has been working with some of the worst QB play in the NFL ever since he took over as the coach for the New York Giants. Daniel Jones, like, come on, man, what do you expect him to do? And he overachieved. They won 9 games and a playoff game with Daniel Jones as quarterback. You need to give him a real QB in that QB room. And Russell Wilson is not going to cut it. We already know Russell Wilson. He'll give you half a season, and that's about it. So let's be honest. Let's give Brian Dable real hope. Let's get the Giants fans real hope because they've been just
in the mud,
in a horrible situation for the past 15 years. Ever since they won the Super Bowl, it has been going downhill. You have to give them hope. Travis Hunter is an amazing talent, but I don't believe that really changes anything for them. I don't think that really changes anything for just the fan base's hope and enthusiasm for the future of the team.
True. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
What? Oh yeah. So just moving on over. Speaking of Shedeur Sanders, everything that I've heard from NFL analysts the previous few days is literally what I've been talking about. just him as a decision maker, his accuracy in the pocket, his ability to push the ball downfield. I thought it was interesting, Dan Orlovsky saying that Shedeur Sanders is probably the hardest quarterback to evaluate because of the offense at Colorado, which is they didn't push the ball down the field a whole lot. It was a lot of 5 to 15-yard routes. But if you watch the games, moments where he needed to push the ball down the field, he pushed the ball down the field, and he was deadly accurate with it. He could make tight window throws. It's just all about, okay, in the limited amount of times that he had to push the ball down the field, was he able to do it? And the answer is correct. Was he able to stand in the pocket and deliver the football when there's pressure coming to his face? Like, yes, obviously he stood in the pocket. He was deadly accurate. I do think that he does to hold the ball a little bit too much, but there are times where his offensive line has failed him, and Dan Orlovsky and other NFL analysts have acknowledged the fact that his offensive line wasn't the best. I think another thing that we have to remember about Shedeur is that him and his father were able to take a dying program and bring it back to relevancy, which is very hard to do. Literally, they were the worst team in the Pac-10 when there was a Pac-10. And
you mean
they
12?
moved. No. Remember, it was the Pac-10, and then the next year they moved to the Pac-12. No, the Big 12.
Oh, okay, I get it.
So the worst team in the Pac-10, they took over that team, didn't have the best season. Shedeur was still good. He was still deadly accurate, still efficient. Next year, they went to the Big 12, and they were a top 25 program. They competed, I think it was against BYU. Didn't have the best game. It was these bowl games. A lot of times, these teams they don't have their best players playing, or they don't try as hard enough. So, but still, they were able to turn around a program, and now they're one of the better programs in college football. That is very difficult to do, and we have to applaud that. My thing with Cam Ward, I know I'm sort of going another way with this, but I understand the Titans, yes, it's consensus Cam Ward is going 1. But my thing is, how far off is Shedeur from Cam Ward? Like, I feel like a lot of the talk, it seems like Cam Ward is significantly better than Shedeur Sanders. And when you watch the two, I don't see that. So I'm confused why we should look at Cam Ward as, oh my God, his ceiling is so much higher than Shedeur Sanders, when I believe they're close to the same level. Where are you on this?
I don't think the gap is as big as media scouts and all them would have you believe. When I look at Cam Ward, I see the ceiling. I do believe he has a higher ceiling than Shedeur because he has a stronger arm. His release is quicker. His mobility in the pocket is a little better, in my opinion. But decision making for Cam Ward sometimes is like, and it's just sometimes his accuracy is just like, who were you throwing at exactly? I saw this one play. I don't know what game that was, but he was chilling, clean pocket. He just chilling, threw the ball, pick. I'm like, what were you looking at?
Georgia Tech? Was it Georgia Tech?
I think so. I was like, what are you looking at? And it's just like the athleticism. They're pretty much similar. They're kind of similar athletes, in my opinion. I don't really see Cam Ward out there running full flats or anything like that. So yeah, I'm very interested to see why. I want to hear a real detailed explanation as to why people think they're on different tiers. They're like the same tier of QB, in my opinion. I just feel like Shedeur day one is going to you pretty much know what he's going to be for the most part. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think Shedeur is an accurate QB. His arm isn't the strongest, but he doesn't have a whole bunch of zip on the ball. But you place the ball correctly, You can make all the throws. You know how to play in structure. What more do you want from a QB? That sounds like the makings of a top 15-ish QB. But hey, I don't know nothing. I saw an article by Corey Kinnan, and it said weighted on target percentage. What happens to the 2025 NFL draft class when removing FCS G5 competition? I thought that was pretty interesting. So pretty much the numbers pretty much say he's taking the on target percentage, weighted on target percentage, but he's eliminating all the FCS and G5 schools. So pretty much it's all Power 4 competition and stuff like that. So Shedeur, his own weighted on target percentage only drops from 73.26, pretty high, to just 72.66. That's not even a full point. Cam Ward drops from 61.21 to 60.6, to about 0.60 of a percent. Milroe, his actually goes up from 59.46 to 60.15. Jackson Dart, it goes from 66.58 to 61.71. And Quinn Ewers, it goes from 55.33 to 54.89. So I just thought that was interesting because a lot of times people will bring up competition for Shedeur. Oh, he's not playing the great, but you remove the FCS schools, and it's pretty much the same. So I'm trying to figure out, this has to be something off the field that they don't like him, because on the field, what's there to really harp on?
Right, and Cam Ward has played.
Like the numbers in the film support it, so I'm just confused.
Cam Ward has played far less competition compared to Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was playing a lot of top 25 programs in the Big 12. There was a pretty good amount of top 25 programs, while with Cam Ward, they didn't have much competition in the ACC. The ACC was pretty bad that year.
They was in dogfights.
And they was in dogfights for a lot of those games. You're correct. So I just think the whole, who did he play? Well, Cam Ward didn't play a whole lot. And yeah, they weren't able to get in the college football playoffs. I understand he carried a lot of that team, but he made a bunch of mistakes as well against pretty bad opponents like Georgia Tech. He was throwing an interception party. Like, get out of here with that. I'm just wondering, when I look at both of these guys, right, I just say to myself, if I'm trying to win now, I'm going with Shedeur, because I know with Shedeur, he's already ready to go, like fundamentally sound. He's able to go through his reads. He's deadly accurate. He can make all the throws that you want. Cam Ward has a higher ceiling, I will admit, because you said it, the improvisation, the arm strength. But the decision-making is my concern. And also the footwork. The footwork is not always consistent. It's not always what you want. So it's about what you want. What are you looking for? Where do you believe your team is at this moment? That's why I believe the Titans going with Cam Ward makes a lot of sense, because we all know the Titans, they're not ready.
They got time to figure it out.
They're going to rebuild. With Shedeur, I'm drafting him because I believe we can win right away. I look at Shedeur, he's in the same archetype, in my opinion, to like a CJ Stroud, to a Joe Burrow, to a Matt Ryan. He's way faster and a better improviser than Matt Ryan.
Kirk Cousins.
Those type of archetypes is where Shedeur is at for me. And I think the best ceiling that he can get is obviously Joe Burrow. And the worst he can probably get, I also heard Teddy Bridgewater. That's probably the worst, in my opinion, that he can get is Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think he's going to be Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's way better. While with Cam Ward, he's on the Mahomes, Josh Allen, those type of archetypes where improvisation, not your traditional style of QB play. Fundamentals can be a little shaky at times, but his arm strength is so talented that he can overcome certain things. That's where Cam Ward is for me. If he were to not pan out, I'm looking at who he would be compared to in terms of the best versus the worst at his skill set. Who do you think Cam Ward would be at that point? I mentioned Mahomes and Josh Allen, which is a very high bar. Yeah, very high ceiling. But like low, middle, who would be Cam
Russ
Ward?
is probably his ceiling.
Prime Russ. Wow. Okay.
And his floor would probably be like a non-scrambling like 2017, 2018
Dak Prescott. Okay, I can see that.
Dak had footwork issues. He had the arm, but he had footwork issues and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd say that.
I can see that.
So,
what about the worst?
The worst he could be?
Yeah, the worst.
Oof. So many bad QBs that came into the lounge.
With his
Carson
talent,
Wentz.
Carson
Wentz is his worst.
Carson Wentz. Okay.
Commanders Carson Wentz. That's the worst.
Commanders Carson Wentz. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. Like, if you're trying to win now, like, you go Shedeur, not Cam Ward. But if you're rebuilding, you're trying to build something, you go Cam Ward, because just the talent, the higher ceiling, the improvisation. You get what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's just how I'm looking at it. I remember last year when we were talking about Jaden Daniels versus Drake May. This is all about fit at the end of the day. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, who do I think is better, who I think is worse. At the end of the day, it's all about fit. The players, the quarterbacks' archetypes, how they fit in certain systems will determine their success. And I believe with both of these QBs, that's how we should evaluate them, not on who's better, who's worse, especially when they're that close. That's how I look at it. I don't think there's necessarily both of them are. We should measure, oh, Cam is better than Shedeur. Like, I just think it's about fit at the end of the day.
Yeah, truthfully, if your team don't got a good plan or course of action to put the QB in the best position to succeed, it don't matter who you draft at that point, because they just gonna be cooked.
Right. All right. Well, our last topic, I wanted to talk about Brock Purdy. The last few weeks he's been in the news. To stand still on his contract negotiations with the 49ers. They haven't come to an agreement yet. And I just wanted your thoughts on it. Why do you think there hasn't been an agreement between the 49ers and Brock Purdy on a new contract? Because, hey, in 2023, he put up amazing numbers. He was in the MVP conversation. And now it's a little hesitancy on giving Brock Purdy a bunch of money. What's going on? What do you think is happening at this point?
I just think it's just one of those whoever blinks first type situations. Obviously, they expect to give Brock Purdy a decent chunk of change because they let a whole bunch of dudes walk. They got rid of Debo, cleared up some cap space. They let Javon Hargrave walk. They let Travarius Ward walk. Dre Greenlaw left. Talanoa Hufanga left. So they're gearing up to dish out money to Brock Purdy, it seems like, because they let a lot of core pieces go from that defense and offense. So I just think it's just like it's a standoff at this point. Whoever blinks first, the 49ers may not want to make him the highest paid QB, or maybe they probably don't even want to make him a top 3 paid QB in the league. But Brock Purdy's like, hey, if you don't pay me, what y'all really going to do? I doubt y'all want to be trash and trash for a year or two and try to take a gamble on a draft. So you either pay me or, hey, it is what it is. So I just think it's one of those type situations. I think a deal does get done, and they will fork over 50+ million for Brock Purdy. I do believe that because you don't pay the QB, you pay the market, and the market for Brock Purdy, he has a strong case. He had back-to-back. He went to the NFC Championship game, went to the Super Bowl the next year. So I mean, granted, no matter how many All Pros he had on the team, Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't do it. Well, he did do it that one year, but they couldn't sustain that level of success. And even when the 49ers was bad this year, they had a down year, Brock Purdy still played relatively well, in my opinion. So you got to figure something out. 49ers got to pay him, or you're going to have to reset a QB.
So looking at this quote from the New York Times, it says, I think he's great. This is from Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan. He said, I think he's great, and especially when you combine him with my bad. That's John Lynch, excuse me. I think he's great, especially when you combine him with Kyle Shanahan and you combine him with what we have on the roster. He's a heck of a quarterback, and we want him to be here for the long time. And this was during January, right? But they were virtually the same quotes we heard at Lynch and Shanahan's end of the news conference in January, and that Lynch gave in the scouting combine in February. Nothing's changed. The negotiation appears to be at a standstill, and the clock is ticking. So they're saying all of these great things about Brock Purdy, but there's still no contract extension. So, I mean, are you going to give him a bunch of money or not?
Do you think this could be a situation? Let's say hypothetically, they enter the draft, and let's say a Jackson Dart somehow slips to the early second. Do you think they go, let's draft Dart in the second and just franchise Brock Purdy, and then try to throw Jackson Dart out there the next year?
I don't think they draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. I do think in the 3rd round it's a possibility, though. I mentioned before that Louisville quarterback, a lot of these scouts, NFL analysts, like the quarterback from Louisville. So if I can find his name, draft quarterback. Quarterbacks. His name is Tyler Show. Yeah, the guy from
old as a mug.
Yeah, so I can see the 49ers going after him in the 3rd round if he's still there, because I hear a lot of good things about him. That wouldn't shock me at all that the 49ers take a flyer on him, especially with Brock Purdy being undecided. Kyle Shanahan may look at the quarterback and say, hey, we draft him, put him in this system, he'll be just fine. We had Brock Purdy. We've had other QBs in the past flourish in this offense. Jimmy Garoppolo. If we can draft him, I think he could be a potential replacement in the event Brock Purdy and the 49ers just can't figure out a number that is comfortable for each other. So I could definitely see them going after the 3rd round.
They got to do something because you got all this cap space. You only paying Brandon Ayuk, you paying Nick Bosa, and I think Trent Williams. Who else? I guess Fred Warner too. You ain't really paying that many people, so there's really no excuse to not get a deal done at this point, unless you're just not that confident in his ability. A deal should have been done. Now I know it takes 2 to tango. A lot of people just think, oh, the team just give out the contract and they just sign it. No, obviously negotiations have, but it doesn't even sound like that's even going on.
Well, are you comfortable in giving Brock Purdy the same amount of money that the Miami Dolphins gave Tua?
Whether you're comfortable, if you really want to take a stand and be like no and don't want to compete for a couple years, then no. But if you want to be somewhat competitive, obviously Brock Purdy can get you to a Super Bowl. You build the right team around him. It's just unfortunately y'all ran into Mahomes. So at this point, Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. He ain't really do all that much leading up to the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy played well enough to win that Super Bowl against the Chiefs. It's just you ran into Pat Mahomes and you deferred in the No, you elected to receive in the overtime period.
Right.
That's coaching.
So let me say this. I know we're not speaking from our perspectives, our opinions, but if I was the 49ers GM, I wouldn't pay him all that money. I think.
But do you have a plan?
Oh yeah, I would definitely have a plan in place, but I wouldn't pay him all that money. I would have him play another year, see what he could do, and depending on how, absolutely, he has one more year on his deal.
Wait, actually, they can't franchise tag him. The deadline is over.
Oh well, he has one more year on his deal, so
okay.
So I would play it out and see what he does. If he plays well, then we can have those conversations. But I'm not paying him Tua money. I'm not paying him close to Dak money when the previous year you didn't play all that well. So that's me. You know what this reminds me of? This isn't the greatest analogy, but especially since it's different sports. But remember,
I know what you're saying about the Tua and Dak thing, but you could be like, as an agent, you could be like, why can't he get paid as much as he went further than those dudes in the shortest period of time?
Oh, absolutely. The agent can talk that rhetoric, but I can also be like, well, we don't have the same team that we had back in 2023.
And then the agent will rebuttal, whose fault is that? Your fault or my fault?
That is true. That is true. But if we paying you all that money, we're not going to be able to get those same caliber players. And you're going to have to be the guy.
The agent will be like, well, the Eagles do it.
Well, Jalen Hurts is better than you. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts is just better than you. That's just what it is. But regardless, here's my thing. I was going to bring up this analogy. This is basketball and football is different, but I remember the Boston Celtics had Isaiah Thomas. He was 5'8.5". He was playing great for them, but we knew their floor. We knew their ceiling. They weren't going to win a championship with Isaiah Thomas. So he gets injured. They didn't want to pay him before he got injured, and they traded him. And then they had a couple of years where they were okay, but they weren't really winning a championship necessarily. And then they eventually found their way. They got Kyrie Irving. They drafted Jason Tatum, and now they fast forward, they won a championship, and now they're trying to get another championship. I look at the 49er situation and I say, Brock Purdy, I believe we seen his ceiling. And yes, he won a Super Bowl, but he had a lot of people. Yeah, he didn't win a Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl, but he had so much in his favor, and they nearly didn't make it. They almost lost to the Packers. They nearly lost to the Lions. With all that talent, I can't pay a dude $55 million, $60 million when he didn't win me a Super Bowl. He had so much talent around him, and he nearly lost. I just think it's too much of a risk. I would just start over. I would draft me a quarterback that's more talented on a rookie contract that I believe if I put him in this system, he will succeed. That's just my way of thinking. I believe Brock Purdy has reached his ceiling. I don't think he's going to get any better from this. He's a top.
So you believe the rookie that you bring in can be higher than a top 15 QB?
I believe, yes, I do. I do think that. Depending on where I draft him. So a first round quarterback, I believe that he has a higher ceiling than Brock Purdy. And if I bring him in to the system, the Kyle Shanahan system, which has produced pretty good quarterback play outside of Trey Lance, because Trey Lance is just god awful. I'm confident enough that we can develop a quarterback that can be even better than Brock Purdy. You're just gonna have to wait.
Yeah, because in my opinion, their championship window is slammed shut.
Oh yeah, it's slammed shut.
They are finished.
And
I guess you do have a little time to figure it out.
So with that being said, you just said their championship window was slammed shut. That makes it even more important to just let it play out. Just let it play out. And if he can't produce, move on. Draft the quarterback in the first round. What are they, pick 11 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Your team got worse. So next year, let's see what Brock Purdy does. If he stinks it up, you're probably going to pick in the top 5, maybe. And guess what? You're in prime position for a decent quarterback that you can draft and put in your system and build for the future. I just think at this moment, the 49ers, that championship window that they had, the Chiefs, they got them, they beat them, and they're just going to have to rebuild. That's just what it is with the NFL. When you don't have one of those talented QBs and you make the Super Bowl with the guy that you found in the 7th round who is really good when everything is perfect, you have a very small window. And they couldn't capitalize on it. So it is what it is. I think the worst you can do is lie to yourself and try to remain relevant by overspending on dudes like Brock Purdy,
Daniel
Jones. You have to rip the Band-Aid off eventually. Either you're going to stink or you're going to compete every year. And right now, you can't do both.
Top 11.
Yeah. Look at the I don't want to look at the Cowboys. Like the Cowboys, that's the problem with the Cowboys. Is that Jerry Jones, he always says, I want to win a championship, I want to compete. But his words don't reflect his actions. He overspends on Dak. He is not giving the money that he should be giving to his star players, like a Micah Parsons. He waits too long to give contract extensions to his star players. That is something you should not do. That is bad business. I bring that up because the 49ers, that could be the same thing. It looks like they're not going to do that. They traded Deebo Samuel. So that lets me know that they're willing to cut ties and, either retool or rebuild. When you look at Brock Purdy's situation, you have to do the same thing. You have to be willing to, if things go sour, just let him go. Yeah, just let him go. You just have to at that point. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say. Is there anything else you want to say we haven't covered, NFL related?
No.
All right, well, that'll do it on this episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials. Make sure to check out our other channel. Link will be in the description of that, our NBA channel, and check out our full podcast playlist as well. Link will be in the description. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys later. Peace. All right. Well.